BEC. These three letters represented billions of dollars in financial losses last year, more than any other type of fraud, including tech support, investment scams, and even personal data breaches. Yet somehow most people aren't even aware of what BEC stands for: Business Email Compromise. You're not a business? It doesn't matter.
If you do a lot of communication over the internet, a lot of electronic correspondence over email is where that attack is going to come from.
BEC still poses a risk for you as an individual, and the first part of this video is going to explain exactly how that is. Do you own a small business? Well, then there are steps that you need to take in order to make sure that you, your customers, or even your partners don't get scammed, and we're going to cover that in the second half of this video. This is All Things Secured. My name's Josh, and I find it so weird that a lot of my effort on this channel is spent trying to promote rational approaches to security in the face of a lot of what I consider to be misleading FUD: fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But in this case, we're talking about a type of fraud that tops the FBI's annual Internet Crime Report, and yet I hear so few people talking about it. Business email compromise is the act of fraudulently accessing email accounts in order to spoof addresses and send phony messages. The reason this matters to you, even if you don't own a business, is that you could easily be the recipient of such an email, and as such, you could be the one who gets scammed out of your life savings, not the business. Take my friend Nicole as an example. A few months ago, she and her husband were in the process of buying a house when they received an email from the title company suddenly requesting a change in account number where the money would be wired. Now, the email came from the title company's proper URL. It specified the exact amount that needed to be wired, and it was signed by the exact same person that my friend had been dealing with. The only red flag was that the fact that this was just such a last-minute change. Nicole thankfully called the title company to confirm the change and was shocked to learn that somebody had hacked into the title company's email account. They were sending emails to the customers attempting to avert their payments to a different bank account. My friend almost lost more than $30,000 that she and her husband had painstakingly saved for their down payment, all because of the business's email that had been compromised. Not her email, the business's email. Think about this. Have you ever received an email where you get a warning message like this that says something like, "Be careful with this message"? A lot of times these warnings are provided in places where the reply to address is different from the sending address, but it also comes when your email provider can't verify the actual source of who sent the email. Don't ignore this warning. This is especially true if the message you've received is requesting any kind of data or personal information. You need to recognize that a compromised email is a legitimate concern, and verifying important messages is critical. This is part of that one habit that I was talking about in an earlier video: verify elsewhere. But what about small businesses? What does this mean for you? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't have an IT team hiding behind this camera, working to establish email verification and monitoring for breaches. That all falls on me, the business owner. And the last thing I need is the bad press of somebody sending fraudulent emails from my domain to scam my customers or my audience or my vendors. And this is where DMARC comes in. There are services like Easy DMARC that can set this up and monitor for you, or you can do it yourself. It's something I've implemented starting this year, and although I'm gonna wait to walk you through the exact process of how to do it, we're gonna do that next month. Let's start with a very basic explanation. DMARC, which has kind of become a shortened proxy word for email verification in general, is actually just one of three unnecessarily complicated acronyms. The other two would be SPF and DKIM, and all three of these records together live within your domain DNS records, which is what you've got in something like GoDaddy, Namecheap, Cloudflare, or one of the hundreds of other companies like that. Each of these records plays an important role in the email verification process. And to help me explain, I have systems engineer Stephen Hatch, who's been working in email security for almost a decade, to start off with SPF.
Your SPF record defines who you're allowing to send as you. So as a company, you're going to obviously do business with other marketing companies and law firms, other businesses, and you may want to have them send mail as you on behalf of you through whatever service they're offering. You would use your SPF record to configure their sending information.
In other words, I use an email marketing company called ConvertKit. Formerly, when I sent messages from All Things Secured through ConvertKit, anybody who received that email would get one of those warnings similar to the ones that I just shared to you earlier. Basically, your email provider is looking at my URL, which is All Things Secured, and then seeing that it wasn't actually sent by All Things Secured, it was sent through ConvertKit. But now I've set up my SPF record to list ConvertKit as an official sender of my emails. That's SPF. Next is DKIM.
DKIM is a extension of that. It's a public-private key sort of thing. You keep a key in your public DNS, and then there's an external key that's present as well with the third party that you're sending with.
So again, this private key authentication is simply another way to make sure that ConvertKit is actually authorized to send email on my behalf. No one can just go in and authorize ConvertKit without me knowing. And now that brings us to DMARC.
DMARC is pretty much just a policy that defines what to do with the message in the instance that one of those mechanisms fails.
DMARC acts as a set of rules that defines what happens when an email is being sent. This message could be rejected, quarantined, reported, or simply left alone. It works on top of the other two email authentication protocols, DKIM and SPF. So back to my friend Nicole. If the title company had set up DMARC protection with a rule set to reject or quarantine, the fraudulent email that wasn't sent from the company's servers would have never arrived in Nicole's inbox. And for those of you who do email marketing, setting this up also boosts your domain reputation and email deliverability. I hope that you're starting to see why this isn't just a meh, I'll get to it someday kind of thing. I recommend you either set it up on your own with your own DNS, or if you don't have time, check out a managed service like DMARC. This is the one that I'm using, and the reason I ended up doing a managed solution is because after setting up DMARC myself, which was honestly quite nerve-wracking considering I was afraid I might mess something up and just screw up all my email sending, my inbox quickly got flooded with DMARC reports that I really didn't want to deal with. Seriously, it was like 5 to 6 reports a day, and I didn't have the time to look through them or even understand them. A managed solution like DMARC, which has a limited free option, not only ensures that your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC records are set up correctly, they also do phishing checks on the URL and then aggregate the daily reports so that you can see what's most important.
If you're doing business in the 21st century, like everybody else over the internet, you should probably have this configured.
I'll be doing a tutorial on how to set up DMARC records soon. And once that's published, I'll have a link to that showing up right here. I have links to DMARC in the description below this video if you want to check them out. I did contact the company and they agreed to give a limited 60% discount to any of you in my audience who want to do a package subscription, but only for the next 3 days. After that, it's only going to be a 10% discount. So if you're considering it, you should use the coupon code in the description below. And since you're watching this far in the video, I want to say that I appreciate you and I hope that this has been both educational and fun. Leave any questions in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Stay safe.